Studies show that 78% of sales leaders are sacrificing over 40% of their productivity by refusing to delegate effectively. Picture this: you're a senior sales leader managing a team of 8 sellers across multiple territories. Your calendar is bursting with client meetings, your inbox is overflowing, and you're still personally handling deals that your team should be managing. Does this sound familiar? You know, you should delegate more. Everyone keeps telling you to let go, but something holds you back. Maybe it's that nagging voice saying, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Or perhaps it's the fear that stepping back might mean stepping down. I see this pattern constantly in my work with global organizations and many of the large financial institutions that we work with, where even the most seasoned sales leaders fall into what I call the over-functioning trap. They're working harder than ever, but their teams aren't growing. Deals are slipping through the cracks and they're burning out fast. But here's the good news. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share exactly how to break free from this trap. You'll learn our proven 6-step delegation framework that's helped countless sales leaders triple their productivity while actually strengthening their leadership position. Now, before I share you this framework, here's what poor delegation is actually costing you and your organization, because trust me, it's more than just your time. First, there's the obvious financial impact. When you're stuck in the weeds doing $50 an hour tasks instead of focusing on $500 per hour strategic activities, you're literally watching money walk out the door. One of our clients at a major financial institution was spending up to 15 hours a week reviewing every single proposal his team created. That's 60 hours monthly of high-level strategic talent wasted on operational tasks. But here's where it gets really expensive. Your team's development is taking a massive hit. When you refuse to delegate, you're essentially telling your top performers, I don't trust you to handle this. I saw this firsthand with a sales leader who was so involved in every deal that his best performer eventually left for a competitor. Why? Because she felt suffocated, unable to grow, unable to truly own her own success. And let's talk about the biggest hidden cost that most of you overlook, which is your strategic blind spots. When you're drowning in operational tasks, you miss the big plays. You can't see the market shifts, the competitive threats, or the massive opportunities sitting right in front of you. It's like trying to plot your course while being stuck in the engine room. The most dangerous cost? Your own effectiveness as a leader. I recently worked with a sales director who was working 70-hour weeks, constantly available on the phone, email, and Slack. He thought he was being a great leader, but by being always on, in reality, his team's performance was dropping because they weren't developing their own decision-making muscles. They were waiting for input on everything. So, every time I work with sales leaders on delegation, the real breakthrough doesn't come from some fancy system or process. It comes from a fundamental shift in thinking. Here's the truth. Delegation isn't about giving away your power. It's about multiplying it. Think about it. Every task you properly delegate creates 2 wins. Your team member grows and you free up space and capacity to focus on what truly moves the needle in your business. But here's where most leaders get stuck. They're operating from what I call the scarcity mindset. They believe that keeping tight control equals better results. One VP of sales I worked with was convinced that letting go would tank her numbers. Guess what happened when she finally started delegating effectively? Her team's performance jumped by 40% in just 1 quarter. The secret? You need to shift from being a controller to becoming a multiplier. This means stop thinking, nobody can do this as well as I can, and start thinking, my job is to build people who can do this better than me. Stop thinking, I'm responsible for every outcome, and start thinking, I'm responsible for building a team that delivers outcomes. Stop thinking mistakes are failures. Start thinking mistakes are tuition for growth. I remember working with a sales leader at a tech company who struggled with this shift. Every time his team made a small mistake, he'd jump in and take over. Eventually, we developed what he called the growth mantra. Every time I feel the urge to jump in, I ask myself, am I protecting my team or am I protecting my ego? The results? Within 6 months, his team was handling complex negotiations he never thought they could manage. His stress levels dropped and his impact actually increased. Why? Because he finally understood that true leadership impact comes from growing others, not controlling or directing them. The 6-step delegation framework. Now let me share the exact framework I used recently with a client in the financial industry that helped them boost their leadership effectiveness significantly. Step 1 is a priority audit. Pull out your calendar right now. Look at your last week. Every task that took longer than 30 minutes needs to pass what I call the $500 test. Simple question, is this activity worth $500 of your time? If not, it needs to be delegated or stopped. One sales leader I worked with found that 60% of her tasks failed this test. That's 3 days a week of misaligned activities. Step 2, the capability match. Here's where most leaders get crossed up. They delegate based on availability, not capability, which is a big mistake. Instead, create a skills matrix. List your team members and rate them 1 to 5 on key competencies. Then match tasks to the people who are either at level 4, can do it now, or level 3, can do it with support. Step 3, the clear contract. This is non-negotiable. Every delegation needs the 5W framework, which helps you delegate better. Just ask these questions. What exactly needs to be done or accomplished? Why it matters to the business? When it needs to be completed? Who else is involved? And which decisions can they make independently? Step 4, the support structure. Remember that tech company VP I mentioned earlier? She transformed her delegation success when she started using the 15-5-1 rule. 15 minutes for the initial briefing, 5-minute daily check-in if needed, and then 1 hour weekly review in a structured one-on-one each week. This leads to step 5, the growth loop. After every delegated task, have a 10-minute debrief focused on 3 questions. What went well? What could be better? And what's the learning for next time? And these are questions you're asking them. You're not necessarily answering these questions, but you want to get their reflection on this. And then step 6 is critical, the celebration. Don't skip this. When your team members nail a delegated task, make it visible. Share the wins in team meetings, send updates to senior leadership, create success echoes throughout your organization where wins create momentum for more wins. The celebration and the acknowledgement is critical. The best part, the framework isn't just theory. A regional sales director implemented this exact system and within 90 days freed up hours per week while improving his team's close rate. So let's talk about implementation now. Knowing the framework is one thing, but implementing it, that's where the change happens. And I'm going to show you how to do it. First, start small. Pick one project this week, just one, and use the training wheels method. Choose something important enough to matter, but not so critical that failure would be catastrophic. One sales leader I worked with started by delegating his weekly pipeline review. It made him nervous at first, and it took longer at first, but within 3 weeks, his team was running better reviews than he ever did. Here's your 30-day implementation roadmap. Week 1, the audit. Block out 2 hours on a Monday, review every single task, and create 3 lists. Things that you must do personally, things that you could delegate with support, and things that you should delegate immediately. And on this last category, be absolutely ruthless. Most leaders I work with find that as much as 2/3 of their tasks belong in the last 2 categories. Week 2, the team setup. This is where you map your team's capabilities. But here's the twist. Involve them in the process. Ask them directly what tasks they would love to take on. You'll be surprised by what you'll learn. In a recent workshop, a team member revealed expertise in and passion for data analytics that their leader wasn't fully aware of. Week 3, the systems build. Create your delegation playbook. Simple one-page templates for task briefing, progress tracking, success metrics. We recommend making a digital dashboard which makes everything visible and trackable. Week 4, the review and refine. Schedule 30 minutes every Friday to assess what worked, where did you slip back into old habits, because this happens, and what needs adjusting. Now let me address the elephant in the room. What about when things go wrong? Because they will. That's not failure, that's feedback. Create what I call a guardrail system. Set clear check-in points, define decision boundaries, and establish emergency protocols. The key is to build safety nets, not cages. One sales leader I worked with created a brilliant rule. Team members could make any decision under $10,000 without approval. This single rule accelerated their deal closure rate by 35%. Here's the thing, effective delegation isn't just about freeing up your time. It's about transforming your entire leadership impact. Remember that VP I mentioned at the start who was spending many hours weekly reviewing proposals? After implementing this framework, not only did he reclaim those hours, but his team's confidence skyrocketed and their win rates improved by 35%. But let me be clear, This isn't about dumping tasks on your team. It's about strategically elevating both your leadership and your team's capabilities. Every time you delegate effectively, you're not just solving today's capacity problem, you're developing your people and building greater capacity in your organization. Think about this. In the next 30 days, you could either continue being a bottleneck in your organization, or you could be a catalyst that unleashes your team's full potential. The choice is yours. If you're serious about transforming your leadership impact and want to dig deeper into these strategies, I'd like to invite you to work with us. We help sales leaders just like you implement these exact systems through our specialized coaching program. The results? Well, just ask our recent clients from this past year alone who collectively saw a 47% boost in their leadership effectiveness. Click the link below to schedule a strategy call. We'll analyze your current delegation challenges and create a custom implementation plan for your specific situation. And here's a quick reminder. Your time is your most valuable asset. Start delegating effectively and watch both your impact and your team's performance multiply. I'll see you soon with another video. See you all. Bye.